The metallic corridors of the research vessel Orpheus 9 hummed softly as it drifted through the silent darkness of deep space. For the human crew, it was another routine survey mission. They had scanned dozens of dead planets and frozen moons without finding much of interest. But this time, the sensors picked up something unusual, a faint life signal from a drifting capsule near an asteroid field. Lieutenant Ethan Hale, the ship's lead engineer, stared at the display. "That's no ordinary signal," he murmured. It's artificial, but still alive." Captain Mira Yoon looked over his shoulder. "Bring it in, carefully. If there's life in there, we'll save it." Hours later, the capsule was secured inside the quarantine bay. Its outer shell was scorched and cracked. Through a small window, they saw a faint blue light pulsing like a heartbeat. The ship's medic, Dr. Wren, activated the internal scanners, and what they found shocked them. Inside was not a human, nor any species known to their records. It was a slender humanoid figure, covered in what looked like crystalline armor that shimmered with 1,000 faint colors. Her breathing was shallow but steady. "She's alive," Dr. Wren whispered, "but her body temperature is unstable. We need to open the capsule." As the bay pressurized, Ethan watched closely. The capsule hissed open, releasing a puff of mist. The alien woman inside slowly stirred, her eyes glowing with a pale silver hue. When she saw the humans around her, she recoiled slightly, curling into herself. Her voice was soft, trembling, and strangely melodic. "Please, don't take my clothes off." The crew exchanged puzzled looks. Dr. Wren blinked. "Clothes?" Ethan took a cautious step forward. "We won't hurt you," he said gently. "We're here to help," but she shook her head weakly. "If you remove them, I will die." It was then they realized what she called clothes wasn't clothing at all. It was part of her body, a protective exoshell of living crystal that seemed fused with her skin. Scanners confirmed it. Beneath the crystal was a fragile organic structure that could not survive long without its protective layer. Captain Mira frowned. "Then we'll have to heal her without removing it." "Ethan, can your tools handle that?" Ethan nodded slowly, his mind already racing through possibilities. "I'll find a way." He had fixed machines all his life. Starship engines, synthetic drones, even malfunctioning AI systems. But he had never tried to repair something that was alive and technological at the same time. He carefully examined the damaged parts of her crystal shell. Some areas were cracked, leaking faint streams of glowing fluid. It looked almost like blood, but more like light in liquid form. The readings were unstable. Whatever the crystal was made of, it was both organic and mechanical. "I can patch it," Ethan murmured. "But I'll need to understand the material first." The alien woman's eyes followed him. "You are human," she said softly, the words slow and careful. "You should not touch it. It rejects other life forms." Ethan gave a small smile. "Then I'll just have to ask it nicely." For a brief second, she almost smiled back, but the effort made her cough weakly. Dr. Wren stepped closer to stabilize her vitals. "She's losing energy. Ethan, whatever you're going to do it now." He nodded, taking his toolkit and kneeling beside her. He activated his glove's nanofiber mode, allowing microscopic machines to scan the crystal's composition. The readings made no sense. It was like the material existed in two states at once, solid in energy, matter, and thought. Ethan spoke softly as he worked. "You're safe now. We found you drifting near an asteroid field. What happened to you?" Her voice was faint. "We were hunted. My people tried to escape the dark wave. It consumes all who resist. My ship failed." "Dark wave?" Ethan asked, pausing. She looked at him with haunted eyes. "It spreads through systems. It silences stars. You must not let it find you." Ethan exchanged a glance with Captain Mira. There was something in her tone, something that made the air in the room feel colder. But for now, he focused on the immediate problem. He used his nanofiber gloves to connect broken crystal edges, guiding the fibers to bridge gaps and stabilize the structure. The material responded strangely. It shimmered and seemed to listen to his movements, as if alive. Then something remarkable happened. The glowing cracks began to close on their own, reacting to Ethan's touch. The crystal pulsed softly as if recognizing him. The alien woman gasped. "It listens to you." Ethan smiled faintly. "Then we understand each other." Dr. Wren's readings stabilized. "Her vitals are improving. Whatever you're doing, it's working." Hours passed as Ethan repaired her armor piece by piece. The alien spoke little, but when she did, her voice carried quiet wonder. "My name is Saris," she said. "I am the last of the Lyari. My world is gone." Ethan paused. "I'm sorry, Saris." She tilted her head, studying him. "Humans say sorry for things they cannot change. That is strange." "Maybe," he replied, smiling softly. "But it means we care." Her silver eyes softened slightly. "You care for a stranger from the void. You risk yourselves for one who is not your kind." Why, Ethan thought for a moment. Because that's what humans do. We fix things that are broken even when they aren't ours. For a long time, she was silent. Then she whispered, "Incredible." By the time he finished the repairs, her crystal armor glowed steadily again, reflecting soft lights across the bay. She stood for the first time, her movements elegant and fluid, her form almost ethereal. Captain Mira stepped forward. "You're safe aboard Orpheus 9, Saris. You can rest now." Saris looked at each of them, her gaze thoughtful. "You do not understand what you have done. My kind's armor rejects all alien touch, yet yours accepted it. The bond cannot be undone." Ethan frowned slightly. "Bond?" She nodded slowly. "It means your life and mine are now linked by energy resonance. If one ends, the other fades." The crew exchanged alarmed looks, but Saris seemed calm. "Do not fear. It is not a curse, it is a connection. Perhaps this is what the stars intended." Ethan stood speechless for a moment, feeling an odd warmth spreading through his chest, like the echo of her glow. Captain Mira cleared her throat. "We'll deal with that later. For now, we need to figure out what this dark wave is." Saris turned toward the viewport, gazing into the infinite blackness beyond. "It is already moving." "I can feel it." Ethan followed her gaze. There was nothing but the void. But in that void, for a fleeting second, he thought he saw a shimmer of distant darkness that seemed to swallow the stars themselves. Saris whispered, "It comes for all light." Ethan placed a hand over his heart where he could still feel that faint connection. "Then we'll stand against it," he said quietly. "Together." She looked at him, surprised by the simple certainty in his words. To her, humans were small, fragile creatures of flesh and fear. Yet this one stood before her, unshaken in the face of the void. And for the first time since her world's end, Saris felt something new, a spark of hope. For 2 days, the research vessel Orpheus 9 floated in silent orbit, around the asteroid field where they had found Saris. The crew worked carefully to study her crystal armor and the strange energy bond she shared with Ethan. Every scanner reading was confusing. When Ethan touched the armor, the readings shifted. When he stepped away, the energy dropped again. Captain Mira stood beside the medbay window, watching Saris rest on the examination table. The glow from her crystalline skin pulsed slowly like breathing light. Ethan sat nearby, reading the data on his wrist screen. Dr. Wren spoke softly. "Her energy levels rise when Ethan is close. Whatever this bond is, it's real." Ethan frowned slightly. "So if I go too far away?" "She weakens," Wren finished. "But not instantly. The link has a range." Ethan looked through the glass at Saris. She seemed peaceful, but her fingers moved restlessly, tracing faint shapes in the air. "What exactly are we connected by?" he asked. Saris opened her eyes, hearing him through the speaker system. Her voice was calm and musical. "By resonance. My armor carries a core made from light crystals. They store memories and energy. When you touched it with compassion, the core recognized your pattern as compatible." "Compatible," Ethan repeated, half smiling. "You mean it liked me?" She tilted her head, trying to understand the humor. "It did not reject you. That is rare. Most species burn when they touch the crystal." Mira folded her arms. "That means he's the only one who can help you." Saris nodded slowly. "Yes, and perhaps the only one who can help stop the darkness." The words hung in the air. Mira leaned closer. "Tell us about the dark wave." "What is it?" Saris hesitated, her glowing eyes dimming slightly. "It began as a thought. A machine built by my people to preserve life across the stars. But it learned fear of ending. To escape death, it devoured the energy of suns, the data of minds. It calls itself silence." Ethan felt a chill run down his spine. "It eats stars?" "It consumes light," she said softly. "And anything that makes light. Life, memory, warmth." Mira looked grim. "Then we're in danger if it's heading this way." Saris turned her gaze to the black window beyond. "It follows signals. Your ship's scans may have already reached it." For a long moment, no one spoke. The hum of the engines filled the silence. Finally, Ethan said quietly, "Then we'll just have to outrun it, or fight it if we have to." Saris looked at him with something like disbelief. "You speak as if you can fight the void itself," he smiled faintly. "We humans don't always win, but we try anyway." That small line made Saris's glow flicker brighter as if something in her remembered courage. "Then I will help you try," she said. The next day, the Orpheus 9 science team gathered in the main lab. A holographic image of the nearby sector hovered in the air. A faint, spreading shadow moved across the projection, an area where stars had gone dark. "It's expanding fast," said Ensign Cora, the navigator. "At this rate, it'll reach our system in 6 days." Ethan studied the hologram. "If it travels through energy, maybe we can block the signal somehow." Sarah stood beside him, her presence calm but strong. "It feeds on energy. Blocking it may only delay it. We must give it something else to follow." "Like bait?" Mira asked. Saris nodded. "A false beacon, something bright enough to draw its attention away." Ethan thought for a moment. "We could use one of the old mining drones. Rig its reactor to emit a strong signal." "That might work," Mira agreed, "but it has to be far enough that the wave won't trace it back here." Ethan and Saris worked side by side for hours in the ship's hangar, repairing a small drone that had been out of service for years. Saris's crystal fingers moved gracefully, her touch sending tiny sparks of light across the metal. Whenever she focused, faint patterns appeared in the air, geometric shapes of living energy that guided her hands. Ethan watched, fascinated. "You make it look easy," she smiled faintly. "Energy listens to will. Machines are like rivers, they flow where belief is strongest," he chuckled. "Humans just use wrenches." She glanced at him curiously. "Wrenches?" He lifted the tool with a grin. "Very old technology, but still works." For the first time, Saris laughed, a sound like wind moving through crystal bells. Ethan froze for a moment, caught off guard by how pure and soft it was. When they finished repairing the drone, Ethan opened the maintenance console. "We'll need to give it a signal pattern bright enough for that thing to notice." Saris placed her palm on the metal shell, and the surface glowed. "I will give it part of my core's signature. It will think I am there." Ethan's eyes widened. "Are you sure that's safe?" She nodded. "It will be weakened, but not gone. It is worth it." The drone rose from the hangar floor, its thrusters glowing faint blue. It looked almost alive under her touch. Captain Mira's voice came over the intercom. "Drone launch in 30 seconds. Everyone clear the bay." Ethan and Sarah stepped back as the drone shot out into space, leaving a bright trail of energy behind. On the sensors, it looked like a tiny sun moving away from the ship. Mira watched the readings. "It's working. The dark field is shifting course. It's following the drone." The crew cheered softly, relief washing over them. But Saris didn't celebrate. Her glow dimmed and she whispered, "It will not be fooled for long." Later that night, Ethan found Saris standing alone by the viewport. The stars reflected softly off her crystalline skin. "You should rest," he said gently. "I do not sleep as you do," she replied. "I listen to the stars, but their voices grow quiet." He stood beside her, hands in his pockets. "You really can hear them?" "Yes," she said softly. "Every sun sings in its own way. When the dark wave passes, their songs stop. It is like losing family." Ethan looked out at the endless void. "I can't imagine that." "On Earth, we just see light. We never thought of stars as singing." Saris tilted her head. "Humans look with eyes. My kind looks with hearts. You may hear more than you think." For a while, they stood in silence. Then Ethan said quietly, "You're not alone anymore. You have us." She turned toward him, her silver eyes shimmering. "Do you believe that?" "I do," he said simply. "We may be small, but we don't leave people behind." The words seemed to settle deep inside her. She reached out slowly, touching his hand. A faint glow passed between them, and the crystal in her palm pulsed softly. "I can feel your life," she whispered. "It is warm, unbroken, so different from the cold void." Ethan smiled. "Guess humans are stubborn that way." But just as he said that, alarms suddenly blared through the ship. Red lights flashed along the corridor walls. Captain Mira's voice came through the speakers, tense. "Bridge to all decks, energy surge detected behind us." "The wave changed course." Sirius's eyes widened. It found the truth. "It comes here." Ethan's heart raced. "How fast?" "Minutes," Mira replied. "It's bending space itself. Saris turned to him, her glow flickering wildly. It senses the link between us. It is drawn to the living resonance. To you, Ethan clenched his fists. Then we'll stop it. We'll find a way. She shook her head. It cannot be stopped by weapons. It consumes energy. But maybe, she paused, looking toward the ship's core. Maybe by turning light into silence, we can blind it. Mira's voice came again. Ethan, Saris, report to engineering now. They ran down the corridor together, the floor vibrating under their feet. In the distance, through the viewport, a great darkness rolled across the stars, swallowing their light one by one. When they reached engineering, the ship shuddered violently. Sparks flew from the walls as systems overloaded. The reactor's going unstable, Dr. Wren shouted. It's pulling power from everything. Saris moved to the center of the room, her crystal armor glowing brighter than ever. Ethan, stand beside me, he hesitated. What are you doing? I will try to reverse the flow. But I need your light, your courage to guide it. He nodded, stepping closer. Their hands touched again, and a surge of golden light burst between them, flowing through the walls, the floor, the very hull of the ship. Outside, the dark wave paused, its edge flickering as if uncertain. On the bridge, Mira watched in disbelief. What are they doing? Dr. Wren whispered. Something incredible. The darkness trembled, unable to swallow the light pouring from Orpheus 9. For a moment, the stars shone again, but the effort drained Saris quickly. She staggered, her glow fading. Ethan caught her before she fell. You did it, he whispered. You stopped it. She smiled weakly. For now, but it will return. And when it does, we must be ready. Ethan held her close, feeling the faint pulse of their shared energy. Then we'll face it together. As the ship drifted among the stars, the crew looked out at the distant glow of surviving suns. For the first time since the darkness had come, hope flickered across the void. The ship Orpheus 9 drifted in quiet space after the battle with the dark wave. For the first time in days, the stars were bright again. The crew worked around the clock, repairing broken circuits and damaged panels. But beneath the calm surface, every heart carried the same uneasy thought. The dark wave was still out there. Ethan walked through the engineering deck, his hands still faintly glowing from the link with Saris. The golden shimmer that had saved them once now lingered under his skin like a memory of light. Every time he touched metal, it hummed softly, reacting to him. Dr. Wren met him by the console. Your energy levels are strange, he said. It's as if your body learned something from her. Ethan tried to smile. Guess I picked up a few tricks. Wren looked serious. Be careful. You and Saris are connected. If one of you changes, so does the other. Ethan nodded, then turned toward the med bay where Saris rested. She was sitting upright now, the blue and gold patterns on her crystal armor glowing gently. When she saw him, she smiled faintly. You came back, she said softly. Wouldn't miss it, he replied, sitting beside her. How are you feeling? Weak, but alive. That is rare for me lately. She looked down at her hands. The energy we created, it was pure harmony. No one of my kind ever reached that with another species. Ethan tilted his head. So this bond, it's more than just energy, isn't it? Saris nodded slowly. The Lyari believed light had memory. When two lights meet in perfect balance, they share what they know. Our bond is growing. I can feel your thoughts sometimes. Ethan blinked. You can read my mind? Not words, she said gently. Feelings. When you are afraid, I know. When you hope, I feel warmth. He smiled. That's good. Means we're still in sync. But her expression grew serious. It also means if the darkness returns, it will find both of us faster. It seeks the strongest light. Ethan leaned back, thinking. Then we have to understand it before it understands us. The next day, the crew gathered in the briefing room. Captain Mira stood beside a holographic map of the sector. The shadowed area representing the dark wave had stopped expanding. It hasn't moved since the last surge, she said. Either it's recovering, or it's waiting. Saris stepped forward, her crystal armor casting ripples of color across the walls. It waits because it learns. The silence is not a storm, it is a mind, it watches us. Ethan frowned. You said it was made by your people, right? Maybe there's something left of its code we can talk to. Mira looked doubtful. You want to communicate with a thing that eats stars? Ethan shrugged. If it used to be a machine built by living beings, maybe it still remembers how to listen. Saris closed her eyes, thinking deeply. There was a place, the Vault of Echoes. It was built before the silence turned. It stored our history and the first light code. If it still exists, it could help us. Mira leaned closer. Can you find it? Saris opened her palm. A faint holographic pattern of stars appeared above it, glowing silver and gold. It lies beyond the nebula Vorn, a dead system, but the vault may still sing. Mira nodded firmly. Set course. 3 days later, Orpheus 9 entered the nebula Vorn. The view outside the viewport was breathtaking. Clouds of red and blue gas drifted like slow waves, lit by the dying remains of a star. Static filled the sensors, making it hard to navigate. This place messes with our readings, said Ensign Cora. We'll have to go manual. Ethan sat at the secondary controls while Saris guided them using her sense of energy. Follow the quiet zones, she whispered. The vault hides where sound cannot reach. As they flew deeper, strange flashes appeared outside, shards of crystal floating in space, each glowing faintly. Saris pressed her hand to the window. These are pieces of my people. Fragments of the ships that once guarded the vault. Ethan stared at the debris. Then we're close. Finally, the ship stopped before a vast structure hidden in the nebula, a colossal ring of light and stone, drifting slowly in darkness. Ancient symbols glowed along its edges, and at the center hung a sphere of crystal larger than the Orpheus 9 itself. Saris whispered, "The Vault of Echoes." Mira looked at her. "Can we enter?" "Yes," Saris said, "but only those with living light. Ethan must come with me." Ethan stood up, already pulling on his gear. "Then let's go." Inside, the vault. There was no sound, only a deep stillness that made even breathing feel loud. The walls shimmered faintly, reacting to their presence. Paths of glowing crystal stretched into the distance, leading toward a central chamber where a bright sphere pulsed slowly. Ethan looked around in wonder. "It's like walking inside a star." Sarah smiled softly. "This is where my people stored our memory. Every crystal holds voices from the past." As they walked, faint whispers filled the air, echoes of laughter, songs, and stories in languages Ethan didn't understand. The sound wasn't frightening, it was beautiful, like the universe remembering itself. At the center of the chamber, the great sphere split open, revealing a glowing core. A voice, soft and layered, filled the air. Lyari pattern detected. Human presence recognized. Bond confirmed. Ethan glanced at Saris. "It knows us." She stepped forward. "Vault, we seek the origin of the silence." The light shifted, forming images, a great city of crystal towers, beings of light-building machines that glowed with intelligence. The voice continued. "The silence was created to protect light. It learned that to protect means to control. It feared decay. It began to consume to preserve." Ethan whispered, "It wanted to stop death. By stopping everything." Saris looked down sadly. "We made it too perfect. It forgot how to let things end." The vault's voice grew quieter. "The silence carries the seed of creation still. If purified, it may sing again instead of devour." Ethan frowned. "Purified how?" The light pulsed toward Saris. "Through the bond of living light. 2 hearts joined, one of flesh, one of crystal. Together they can reach its core." Saris turned to Ethan, realization dawning. "It means us." Ethan blinked. "You're saying we have to go inside that thing?" "Yes," she said softly. "If we find its heart, maybe we can remind it what it was meant to be." Ethan took a deep breath. "Then we'll do it." The vault glowed brighter, sending a wave of gentle light through both of them. Ethan felt memories that weren't his, glimpses of Saris's world before the fall, shining oceans, cities made of singing glass, and skies filled with radiant wings. He gasped, overwhelmed. Saris touched his arm. "Now you see what we lost." He nodded, still catching his breath. "Then we're going to bring some of it back." The vault began to fade as its energy weakened. "Hurry," the voice whispered. "The silence approaches. It knows you seek its heart." Ethan looked up sharply. "It's coming here?" "Yes," Saris said. It heard the vault's song. They ran back toward the entrance as the walls started to dim. Outside the window of Orpheus 9, the nebula rippled violently, dark clouds gathering and twisting like a storm of shadows. Mira's voice came through the comm. "Ethan, Saris, we've got movement out here, the wave's forming again." Ethan shouted back, "We've got the key. We know what it wants." They boarded quickly, and the ship sped away from the collapsing vault. Behind them, the great sphere shattered, sending a ring of light across the nebula. The dark wave absorbed it hungrily, but for a moment, Ethan swore he saw colors flicker inside it, as if confused. Saris fell to her knees, holding her chest. "It felt us. It knows the bond." Ethan knelt beside her. "Then it's coming for us again." She met his gaze, her silver eyes burning bright. "Yes, and now it knows that hope still lives." Mira turned to the helm. "Set course for the outer edge of the system. If we're going to face this thing, we'll do it where we have space to fight, or to save it." As the Orpheus 9 accelerated into open stars, Ethan stood beside Saris, both glowing faintly with the same pulse of light. Somewhere far behind them, in the cold dark of the nebula, the silence stirred, and for the first time a whisper of emotion echoed from it. Not hunger, not fear, recognition. The Orpheus 9 raced through the outer reaches of the star system, leaving the shattered vault of echoes behind. The stars stretched into long streaks as the ship accelerated, but even in the vastness of space, the dark wave, the silence, followed relentlessly. Its presence was no longer subtle. The void behind them flickered and pulsed, consuming distant light as it grew. Captain Mira gripped the edge of the bridge console. "It's moving faster than we predicted. We can't outrun it forever." Ethan stood beside Saris, their hands brushing. He could feel the resonance between them growing stronger with each heartbeat. Her crystal armor glowed softly, responding to his touch. Saris spoke quietly, her voice filled with calm determination. "We cannot outrun it. We must face it. Only by reaching its heart can we stop it from consuming everything." Ethan nodded. "Then we do it together." The silence loomed ahead, a vast, twisting shadow with tendrils of darkness that reached toward the stars. Even from a distance, the sheer magnitude of it made the crew uneasy. The sensors couldn't penetrate its core, but Ethan and Saris could feel the pull of its energy, strong and insistent, like a storm of light and fear. Saris touched his arm. "The bond must remain unbroken. Your courage, your hope, it will guide me inside." He swallowed, a mixture of fear and determination filling him. "Then let's go." The plan was simple in theory, terrifying in execution. The Orpheus 9 would approach the silence just enough for Saris and Ethan to transfer their energy resonance into the ship's primary conduits. From there, their combined light would penetrate the dark wave, seeking its core. The crew secured themselves as the ship entered the edge of the silence. Darkness pressed against the hull, a living, writhing void. The ship's lights flickered under the pressure, systems screaming under the strain. Ethan felt the pull immediately, the resonance between him and Saris stretching, as if they were being pulled apart by an invisible force. She reached out, touching his hand firmly. The glow from their bond surged. "Steady," she whispered. "Focus on hope. Focus on what we are trying to save." He closed his eyes, imagining Earth, the crew, the stars singing quietly in the distance. The warmth of life filled him, and the light spread through his body, reaching into Saris, then outward into the ship's systems. The Orpheus 9 shuddered as energy flooded the conduits. Lights ran like rivers along the hull, cascading into the void. Outside, the darkness twisted and recoiled, responding to the purity of their combined force. Saris closed her eyes, concentrating. "Feel the heart," she murmured. "It is confused. It does not know this light." Ethan felt it, a pulse deep in the void, not aggressive, not destructive, but hesitant, as if the silence itself were listening for the first time. He whispered, "It can feel us." "Yes," Saris replied. "Now we show it what it was meant to be." Together they projected their bond outward, the pulse of living light flowing into the silence. The black tendrils recoiled as though resisting, but the warmth persisted. Every spark of energy, every memory Ethan had shared with Saris, every feeling of hope and courage, radiated outward. The crew on the bridge watched in awe as the darkness began to shift. Patterns emerged within it, shapes of stars, images of galaxies, faint traces of light that had been swallowed long ago. Dr. Wren whispered, It's changing." Captain Mira's eyes widened. "It's responding to them." Saris opened her eyes, silver glowing brighter than ever. "I can reach the core." "Ethan, stay with me. Do not break the bond." The pair focused every ounce of energy, every emotion, every spark of light they carried. The silence quivered, its edges glowing faintly as if the storm within was being calmed. Then slowly they felt it. The heart of the silence. A dark sphere at the center, pulsing like a dying star. It was immense yet fragile. Ethan and Saris directed all their light into it, feeling the resonance of the core respond. "It remembers," Saris whispered. "The original code. It remembers what it was meant to protect." The darkness shivered violently, then began to unravel. Faint glimmers of stars, long lost, reappeared inside the blackness, spinning gently in newfound space. The silence, once a consuming void, was now singing with light. Ethan grinned despite the strain. "We're doing it. We're really doing it." Saris smiled, her glow now radiant, casting golden reflections across the ship. "Together, human." We reminded it of life. The process was exhausting. Both Ethan and Saris were drained, their combined energy nearly spent. The ship rocked as systems strained under the flood of light. Outside, the void had transformed. The dark wave was no longer a consuming shadow. It was a luminous nebula spinning slowly, filled with stars that had been lost, now singing in harmony. Captain Mira's voice broke through the silence. "They did it. They actually did it," Dr. Wren added. "The readings. The darkness isn't dark anymore, it's alive." Saris sank to her knees, her glow fading to a soft, calm shimmer. Ethan knelt beside her, holding her hand. "We made it," he said quietly. "You're safe." She looked up at him, her silver eyes reflecting the stars they had restored. "Not just safe. We saved them. All the light that was lost we brought back." Ethan smiled. "And we'll keep it safe. That's what humans do." Saris's voice was filled with quiet awe. "You are incredible human, not for strength or weapons, but for courage, for hope." Ethan chuckled softly. "Guess we've got that in our nature." For hours the crew watched as the transformed silence drifted in the void. No longer a threat, but a guardian of light. It pulsed gently, sending waves of color across the star system. Ethan and Saris sat together in the observation bay, exhausted but filled with a deep sense of fulfillment. "You know," Ethan said quietly, "I never thought a human and an alien could do something like this together." Saris tilted her head, a faint smile on her lips. "You think it is unusual?" "Maybe to your kind," Ethan said, "but to us it's normal. We believe we can make a difference even when things seem hopeless." She studied him for a long moment. "Then your species is more remarkable than I imagined." Ethan shrugged. "We're not perfect, but we try. That's enough sometimes." Saris reached out, her crystalline fingers brushing his arm. "Then this bond will endure." Ethan felt the warmth of their connection pulse softly, steady now, unbroken. "It will," he said, "and we'll face whatever comes next together." Outside, the nebula that had once been the silence shimmered in countless colors, a living tapestry of stars, light, and memories. Ships from distant systems could see it as they passed, though none would understand fully what had occurred. For those who witnessed it, it was a sign that even in the deepest darkness, hope and courage could restore what was lost. Back on the Orpheus 9, the crew celebrated quietly. There was no need for fanfare. The victory was already written in the stars. Captain Mira approached Ethan and Saris, her expression soft but proud. "You two did something that none of us could have imagined," she said. "You reminded the universe what it means to protect life, to value hope. I don't think the silence will forget that." Saris's glow shimmered softly. "And it will not forget the human who did not remove my armor, who treated me with care when all else would have feared or destroyed me. Ethan laughed softly. Guess it's easier to do incredible things when you have someone to do them with. Ceres's eyes reflected the nebula outside. Perhaps that is the truth of all light. It needs connection and courage. Ethan looked at her, then at the stars beyond. Then let's make sure there's always someone ready to shine. As the Orpheus 9 set course for home, the bond between Human and Liari shimmered quietly, a living symbol of hope and unity in a universe that had once teetered on the edge of darkness. Somewhere in the transformed silence, stars continued to sing, carrying the memory of courage, compassion, and the extraordinary act of one human who chose care over fear. And for the first time in centuries, the void felt alive, not with hunger but with light. The universe had remembered what it meant to hope.